we begin once again with sad news. I hate beginning with sad news, but we'd be totally remiss if we did not begin by discussing the late, great William Friedkin.
Yes.
He died at 87, a titan of 70s cinema and just a cantankerous, no-nonsense force in a time when people like to be nice and be polite and say all the right things. You could always count on William Friedkin to tell the truth.
Yeah. I interviewed him a couple of times. He was he did not hold back. Really interesting, actually. Yes, he could really be. He could be cantankerous, and he could be sort of a little teetering on the obnoxious about certain topics, but like knew his stuff and not just as a filmmaker, but as a real cineast, and a really sort of somebody who appreciated cinema history and where he fell within that. So yeah, always really interesting to talk to. Obviously best known for The Exorcist and The French Connection. But I think also like one of our great adapters of stage plays to screen.
Okay.
When you look at The Boys in the Band or Bug or Killer Joe, he really ups the claustrophobia. A lot of times I think people are tempted when doing stage adaptations to blow it out. Let's go outdoors and let's go to different places. And he was like, no, we're going to be in this room and we're going to be in this room and you're going to be able to smell the sweat coming out of everybody's pores. And, I think that was really effective. I've always said this. I wish I could have seen his version of August Osage County.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that'd be cool. And also mentioning Killer Joe, we can credit William Friedkin for The Reconnaissance, can we not?
He played a role, definitely. It was one of several films there that I think reminded us that, oh, wow, Matthew McConaughey can indeed act. The still controversial after 40 years Cruising is... love it or hate it, a cornerstone of American queer cinema history.
Do you love it or do you hate it?
Yes. Sorcerer, obviously, I think is a movie that's constantly being rediscovered after it sort of tanked in its original release, which is his remake of The Wages of Fear, another great sweaty movie. Yeah, just like covered all the bases and did all kinds of movies, Deal of the Century, which is like a comedy about arms dealers, so yeah, he spanned genres and if you've never watched his interview, his sit down with Nicholas Winding Refn, where he is busting his chops when Refn refers to his own film Only God Forgives as a masterpiece. Go to YouTube and find that one. It's a doozy. Yeah,
him talking about Al Pacino is pretty hilarious too. Yeah, I mean, across genres, as you say, but I think a signature kind of like muscularity and like a buzz and a force and a crackle and like you just never know what's going to happen next. Like a life to those films that was always exciting and like treacherous and tense. And so I didn't love Bug, but I love Killer Joe. Maybe I should go back and rewatch Bug. But of course, Exorcist in its day, still considered one of the greatest horror films ever, most terrifying horror films ever. And then French Connection, I think, totally changed action films in a lot of ways, using his documentary background to make things, visceral and immediate. And so, yeah, William Friedkin, dead at 87. Barbie has crossed the $1 billion mark at the box office.
Yes.
Pretty cool, right? The first time that a film directed solo by a woman has done that for Greta Gerwig. I believe Jennifer Lee co-directed Frozen.
Yes, and
right?
maybe Anna Fleck co-directed Captain Marvel. I don't know if that did those kind of numbers, but yeah, there have been some co-directing efforts, but this is the first time, as you say, a solo woman has crossed that mark, which is great. And I wish that would lead to, some more carte blanche for her, but she's going to do this Narnia thing for Netflix, which I look forward to seeing. But I hope at some point, she gets the kind of red carpet that dudes get when they achieve this kind of milestone. It's like, what do you, Greta Gerwig, want to make? That's what I hope happens.
Whatever. I hope she gets it too. And then Oppenheimer is extending its IMAX 70 millimeter run. It was supposed to end those runs on August 17th, and now several theaters are extending them through the end of the month.
I wonder if that has anything to do with the fact that they pushed Gran Turismo from the 11th to the 25th, because that's also planning to open in a lot of IMAX houses. Maybe that plays together. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know if those are connected.
I was thinking also is the fact that the new Mission Impossible isn't doing all that well, clearing some IMAX theater space for Oppenheimer. Like that's a sure bet for theaters.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, certainly if I think if it were doing better, it would be more of a toss up and there would be more competition. But I think, yeah, I could see where theaters would be like, we're going to go with this one.
Yeah, for sure. Marvel visual effects artists have voted to unionize.
Can you hear the people sing? That's great, because they have been legendarily sort of abused by the company. We keep hearing stories every time a new Marvel movie comes out. We find out about the ongoing issues of underpaying and insane hours that these folks have been doing, and the VFX community in general, I think, would benefit from unionization, because they often get really badly treated. Like I have heard producers or people talk about producers sort of bragging like how many effects houses they managed to bankrupt over the course of making some big movie. So yeah, let them in on the action here.
Right. And then when we see them being overworked and being inflicted with like unreasonable deadlines or whatever, it shows in the final product, right?
It can,
like it's so inconsistent from film to film and show to show. Like a lot of complaints about the way that Quantumania looked, or She-Hulk, for example, looked kind of terrible. So I think we see that's the result of when people are pushed to do things that, you know, they need more time and more space to do as artists. So hopefully this will spur some changes that are long overdue. For those folks, do you know about MrBeast and his cheeseburgers?
Please walk me through this.
Okay. Do you know who MrBeast is?
I do not.
Oh, really? Okay. MrBeast is the most popular YouTuber. Like 150 something million subscribers. Like he's worth many, many, many millions of dollars. He does these things where he's like, I put 100 people in this circle and whoever stays there longest gets $10,000 or whatever. Like he gives away a ton of money. He has these big spectacles. He has multiple channels. He has a huge team of people working for him. Not unlike ourselves here at Breakfast All Day.
Here at Breakfast All Day headquarters.
Our team, HQ. So among the many branded things that he did was MrBeast Burgers. And this happened early on in the pandemic. There's not really a brick and mortar place to get them. Maybe there's like one place, but mostly it's like ghost kitchens making these burgers with his name on them. And, Uber Eats brings it to you or whatever. So it was a thing that was born of the pandemic and wanting to help feed people. And so apparently the burgers are terrible. Apparently they're not good. And so he and the kitchen are suing each other. He sued them saying that the quality is really low and it's tarnished his brand, and that they were trying to expand too quickly, banking on his name at the expense of the quality of the product. Okay. So he has sued them, and he's talked shit about these burgers. He's like, they're inedible.
I'm getting a real Krusty the Clown vibe here, but okay.
And then they in turn have countersued him for like breach of contract and saying that he is not upholding his end of the deal. And so,
all right. Well,
when did we get our burgers? Where are our breakfast burgers? Top with a fried egg.
Fried egg. Yes.
We call it the Good Morning Burger. So anyway, we will follow that. But it's,
of course,
he is extremely popular.
All right. My not knowing who somebody is does not in any way preclude how like popular or impactful they are. The YouTube, I don't know.
Do you know that Wayne Brady came out as pansexual?
I did hear that. And good for Wayne Brady for, living in his truth or whatever we're calling this now. But yeah, good for him. That's great.
It was an exclusive in People magazine in which Wayne Brady refers to himself quite a bit in the third person and talks about Wayne Brady being pansexual. Does Wayne Brady
have to cut a bitch?
No. But Wayne Brady is working on Wayne Brady. But part of that is, being out as pansexual. He's never had a relationship with a man, but he has been attracted to men. But being pansexual means that you're just open to whatever, right?
Sure. Yeah, gender is not a sticking point in attraction. Well, look, Ellen, Rosie, Wayne Brady, like if you love them in daytime, they're probably queer. I don't know, just a theory.
Did Margaret Cho ever have a show?
She should. But let's manifest that out into the future.
Yes.
Into
and
the
then
universe.
we were remiss in talking about all the celebrities recently who have left us and mentioning Mark Margolis.
Yes, the great Mark Margolis, who played Hector Salamanca on Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, was a legendary that guy for decades. Just, popped up in movies in very memorable supporting roles. But this was, I think, probably his sort of meatiest, regularly recurring role that people really got to know him for. So yeah, I mean, that's an amazing way to cap off a career if you're an actor your entire life, and then in the last couple decades you really you hit on something that really resonates with an audience, and you get to come back and do it over and over again. So good on him.
He was in Scarface.
Yep.
He was in a lot of Darren Aronofsky movies, starting with Pi.
Going back to the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, so an interesting career and a singular presence, and so RIP to you at age 83.